you better get in, where you fit in. Bottles everywhere, you know I stay winning. Keep a couple bad ones around me. You, me, and your girls, we can start around 3. You got all that ass in that dress, I'm impressed. Oh Lord, y'all can roll to the crib with me. I just might let you live with me, cause I need ass everywhere, ass everywhere, ass everywhere.
Dope Dealer Podcast.
Dope Dealer Podcast.
Episode 18.
What's happening?
It's your boy Jamal Doman.
Tobe Hixx.
Yes, listen, that was the homie Paris. Ass everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
well,
what it's
we
called.
Getting sexual.
Yeah.
The intros. Last week it was the wet.
Yeah, the wet. Now it's ass everywhere.
Everywhere. Wow, okay.
So shout out to Paris. You know how we do on the Dope Dealer Podcast. If you send us original music, we will open and close the show off with it. And thank you to Paris. I'm not really sure where he at. I'm going to get his information. But he's Blast. I don't know if you know the comic Blast. That's his son.
Okay, yeah.
So shout out
Big
to
ups.
Yeah, shout out to Blast and shout out to Paris. And that's a little hot. Got the little juvenile sample. Back that ass up sample. So yeah, that's what's up. That. What's good, man? Episode 18. We just moving and grooving, right?
Yeah, man. Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Had a great weekend this weekend in Chicago.
That's right, yeah. You was here.
Yeah, at the Schaumburg Improv, with the homie Felipe Esparza on the Bad Decisions tour.
That's right.
It was 5 shows. And shout out to the Chicago White Sox for inviting us all out to the game and letting us on the field and giving us some hats and shirts and shit. It was real cool. Had a good time.
Did they win the game, the White Sox?
No, they lost the game.
I don't even know who played for the White Sox now.
I didn't know either, honestly.
Frank Thomas. That's all Frank Thomas.
The White Sox don't know who plays for the White Sox right now.
The big hurt wasn't there. I did see Harold Baines, though. OG
Harold Baines. Yeah, that's what's up, man.
But shout out to everybody that came to the Schaumburg Improv and to the staff. It was a great time this weekend in Chicago.
That's one city I haven't yet performed at is Chicago. I hear it's a great city.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad it was warm this time. Last time I was there, it was freezing cold.
Yeah, you got to go on a walk. Yeah, so we got a great show, man. We got a special guest, man.
Yes, we do,
We've been trying to get this guy in here for a while, man.
Yeah, he's been out there on the road working.
Yes.
He told me, hey, I'll be back in June, and I said, okay, I'll hit you then, and here we are in June.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce our special guest.
Yeah, man. Hey, this is a good friend of mine, and you guys... He has had over 100 million views on YouTube. Ooh. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can say that shit there. Yes. 100 million views. Not 1 million people, 100 million views on YouTube. Put your hands together for Steve Hofstetter.
Yeah.
I appreciate that intro. My favorite thing is like, because, you go up at a club and someone's like, how do you want me to introduce you?
Yeah.
So that's what I say. And so sometimes people just screw up the number. And it's fine if you screw up the number in a decent way. Like,
100 billion.
Well, or if they say 1 million, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But someone introduced me once and he goes, he's got over 500 views on YouTube. And I'm like, any cat.
I mean, those numbers don't even go together.
Yeah, literally take a picture of a cat, put it to music, that has 500 views on YouTube.
Goodness.
Wow.
And I was like, why would you say that excitedly? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming, man. It's funny. I'm on you. Hecklers, I don't know why hecklers mess with you, Steve. Like you.
Because they're not familiar with it. Like, I have never once had someone who knew my stuff heckle me. Well, actually, that's not true. I've had it happen a couple times where someone said something and then immediately was like, oh no. But like no one has done it purposefully.
Right.
Because everyone wants to see it happen. No one wants to be the one it happens to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is true.
I've definitely had people come to me after a show and, and they've said things like, oh, I wish someone heckled so I could have seen it. Or like, oh, I was glad that it happened so I saw it live. Or even like, hey, I brought my friend because she's an asshole, but she didn't say anything.
Right.
So I thought she would. Kathy's a dick. But it's just something that happens sometimes.
It's crazy, and then what about the people that think it's like it helps your show?
Yeah, they're helping this show out. That's
I thought I was helping.
No, you were not.
How the hell did you think you was helping?
Those are the people who, that's pretty much who heckles. Like 90% of the hecklers are people who legit think it's part of the show, which is just amazing to me.
Amazingly stupid to me.
Yeah, it's just the idea, the ego it takes. Yeah. Danny Jollis had a really funny thing that he said about it where he's like, yeah, go ahead, heckle me if you want, but also go interrupt a play. Go to Broadway.
Yeah.
Only if you're willing to go to Broadway, interrupt a play, and see how it goes.
Yeah, run on the football field in the middle of the game.
Bring a guitar to a concert.
Did you see the guy in the CFL ran on?
People have done that.
Yeah,
shit,
well, just recently a guy ran onto the field in the CFL, and one of the players crushed him. I'm talking about they was chasing him, and the players just standing around. I guess this player was like, "Fuck this!" He went over there and knocked the shit out of him.
And in Canada, they're so polite there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Of all places.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, the name of your is I see Comedy Without Apology. Is that the name of your tour? Is that what you?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the name of my brand.
Okay,
like that's.
Explain what's that about?
So, Comedy Without Apology is like my basic philosophy of it is I didn't buy tickets to see you. Like you bought tickets to see me, and so I am what I am, and that's it.
Right.
You know, so
like, yeah, no, I feel you
so
on
that's
that.
that's the premise of Comedy Without Apology. It's not like I'm not super blue. I'm not dark to be dark. I'm not, any of those things. Like there was that tour, The Unbookables. Like like I'm not that, but it's also like I will not apologize for what I do on stage. It is, that's my brand.
Right.
So that's the premise behind it. I think it's good because it makes the squeamish people stay home.
That's true.
Like some blue hair in her 70s. Gonna be like, no apology. I don't like that. So.
That is true.
What? Well, you started in New York? Is that where you from?
Yeah. Started in New York.
How long you been doing it?
It's been 16 years.
Wow.
So I started out by handing out flyers.
Yeah.
Oh,
damn.
God.
What borough are you from?
I'm from Queens.
You're from Queens,
but I started in Manhattan. I was in college.
Okay.
And I went to, there was this local show at a place called the Underground Lounge.
Okay.
And man, that place, it was every Friday and Saturday, and it's in this 60-seat room. And like every weekend, they would have, Mark Maron and Sarah Silverman and Todd Barry, and it was just incredible.
Wow.
And it wasn't like, before these guys were starting. No, they were already stars. They've been stars for longer than that. And it was, Ed Helms. I remember standing on the corner of, Broadway and 107th talking to Ed Helms for a while. And like seeing him workshop his jokes, and then he got the Daily Show.
Right.
Like at the time, he was just like a funny guy who was around. And so it was a really good place to be exposed to a lot of really wonderful talent. And I stood outside in 9-degree weather for 2 hours at a time and handed out flyers in order to get 5 minutes.
Wow.
And that's how, and it was funny because even later on, like that summer, when I had already I'd graduated from flyers and, I could just do the show. Like there were other people who were flyering and they were like complaining. And I was like, I did this in the winter. I did this where I wore newspaper under my jacket so that it would cut the wind.
Right.
Like, and I learned that from a bike messenger. Like there was a bike messenger who just saw me shivering and was like, hey, here's a trick.
I'm from the cold.
That shit.
Yeah.
I'm from Philly.
You don't
thermals.
You don't do it to get dressed. Like you do it when you have to be outside for a while.
I never thought of the
if it's really windy, it really cuts the wind. And so like doing that stuff, and it's just a question of like, okay, well, how badly do you want it? And that was how badly I wanted it. The most embarrassing part was that there was, it was a couple blocks from campus. There were literally people I still went to school with.
Right.
Like, I heard you were doing comedy. And I'm just like out there being like, hey, you want to come see a comedy show? Like handing out a flyer.
Wow.
Like a girl from one of my classes that I had a crush on. Oh, that was a rough night.
But that could go either way though, because at least you doing more than they was fucking doing. They was walking by you, just.
Well, they're walking by because they're on their way to like spend their parents' money on food.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Whereas
you was being productive.
Yeah, but people don't see it that way.
It didn't feel like it then.
People don't see you. People don't see someone handing out flyers on the street and being like, "What a productive fella."
Yeah,
you know
that is true.
Like it's more just like, ugh, get that flyer out of my face.
Yeah, that's true a little bit.
Yeah, I'm eating more of these candies.
Oh yeah, that's all the hey, at the Dope Dealer Podcast, we spare no expense here, Steve.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
it's funny
this
too, like
this half bag of Reese's.
Yeah, it's funny too, like in the different comedy worlds. Like say for instance, like in the white comedy world, and if you pass out your own flyers, you'll get some people that respect that or whatever. I mean, they still might act a little funny, but I'm saying like But black people, you can't even hand your own relatives flyers because they like figure it out. If you got to pass out the shit to your own show, then you ain't shit.
I hate to tell you, but same with us.
Well, it wasn't always like that.
There was no one I was handing out a flyer to that was like, you know, just top of the morning to you, lad. Like it was. I understand there are plenty of differences between our cultures, but that is not one.
No, I mean they won't be like rude about it. They'll take it or whatever and just move on. Even if they don't come or don't respect it, they won't let you know as necessarily.
Well, I would say that having to stand out there and hand out those flyers and have people just like yell in my face.
Yeah, because and that's New York too. Yeah, that's New York too.
But that helped me get quick because like there was an incident where because you have 3 seconds with these people to either sell it or realize you're not going to make a sale and entertain yourself. So like there was one where there's this guy walking like with his girl, and I was like, "Hey, you want to see a comedy show?" And he goes like thinking he's funny. He just goes, "Oh, I hate laughing." And so I go, "That's why she's gonna leave you." So like, and it's as they're walking away, you know. So like, you get quick enough to get someone's attention very quickly, and of course she laughed, but he didn't.
Did they take the flyer?
What I mean, it was already after. I mean, they already said I don't like laughing. I mean, that was that's a lost cause.
You didn't push it yet.
Who doesn't like laughing?
Assholes.
I remember.
I've had people say that.
I remember I was dating this. We actually had broke up, but we were still friends. And she started dating another guy. And I remember she used to come to my shows. I said, "Why bring your boyfriend to the show?" Like she told me, he doesn't like laugh. He's not really into comedy. I'm like, what? How do you go from a comedian to a dude who don't like what?
That also might be a very polite way of her being like, I'm not going to bring the guy I'm dating to see the guy I was fucking.
Yeah, that's what it was. She didn't
there might have been.
Plus, why would he want to come? Shit, I wouldn't want to go. What the fuck?
I don't know if she told him. She could just be like, "Hey, my friend is doing comedy." I don't know if how much he knew like that.
Man, it's a man getting there.
My friend whose penis has been inside me is doing comedy.
Yeah,
you
the
don't
ones
leave with that.
Cock I had in their mouth.
Is he gonna come and laugh? Is he gonna? If he know that, he's not even gonna laugh at none of my jokes anyway.
Nah, he's gonna be mad at you and her. He's gonna be mad at her for inviting him and mad at you for just being you.
Yeah, I definitely have had that situation where like someone who I dated a while back would just be like, "Oh yeah, you know, me and my boyfriend are gonna come to the show," and I'm like, "Why? why
I ain't never had that problem.
Yeah, why are you gonna do that? That's really sweet of you, but I just feel bad for the dude. Like just the idea of like, hey, I'm gonna bring the guy that I'm dating now to see the guy that I used to be dating do the thing he's best at.
Yeah.
What a horrible idea.
Yeah. I mean, that's like dating an NBA player and then taking them to see, you know, another NBA player. It's like, come on.
Then,
they do that, though, in the NBA.
Well, the NBA, they pass.
Yeah, that's true.
And the girls don't mind and the guys don't mind, you know.
That's true.
Look at Chloe. She done went from James Harden, Lamar Odom to James Harden. Now she with Tristan, and she'll be with somebody next week. She'll be with the second pick in the draft on Thursday.
This is the only time anyone's ever compared my life to the NBA.
Hey, so Steve, probably your most, you tell me if I'm wrong, your most famous, I guess, heckler, was that the racist heckler? I mean.
No. So the thing that like went crazy viral was the clip is called Heckler Doesn't Stand a Chance. And it's got like 5.5 million views on YouTube, and that's just on my page. There were plenty of people who like ripped it off and reposted it and stuff. And it's got another, just a couple weeks ago, it had a second life on Facebook, and it got another like 12.5 million views there.
Damn. Tell us about that one. What was that?
So that one was, and that was the clip that changed my career. So that was
how long ago was that?
About 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And so, you know, at the time, I was like headlining strip mall clubs, you know, just like real excited to, you know, maybe I can get $800 for this one, you know, not a night. I mean, for the week.
Weekend,
and no hotel. And then this clip went viral. I was in Titusville, Florida. I went down there with Danny Jollis and Matt Ritter. And the idea was all three of us are comics. All three of us are big baseball fans. Let's go to spring training. So we went to a couple games. The idea was like, let's go to 5 days. We'll do 5 games, and we'll try to do shows every night and pay for the trip.
We just
wanted to break even.
Yeah, that was fun.
We just wanted to break even. It was great. So that was the plan. So we did that, and one of the shows was at this bar in Titusville, Florida. Titusville is a town that is so small that like they're closing things. It used to be where the space shuttle was launched from, and then once they stopped doing that, they're literally like closing post offices and schools. And so we do this show, and it is packed because these people haven't laughed in years. You know, this is like I felt like it was like the comedy version of Footloose. And so
How many people about?
I mean, when I say packed, I mean 100.
100 small spot. Okay.
Yeah, but
It's Titusville.
But we're also talking like the sheriff was there and the judge was there and like the city councilman was there. Like, so I had this material that I had been doing for a while about parents thinking they're entitled, parents acting entitled, parents thinking they're special. And I start the material, and this woman interrupts me to be entitled.
Oh my goodness.
And so right in the beginning of the material, she yells out bullshit. And then I've got another 2 minutes about her.
Yeah.
And she is just walking further and further into the material. It's like, imagine if there's like a snowstorm and just someone just walking further and further into the blizzard.
Right.
That's what this was.
Yeah.
And so every bit I had looked like I was doing it to her off the cuff when really she's just walking into material.
Walk right into the jokes.
And then the end of it worked out so well because I had sports on the brain because it was, you know, I was down there for spring training.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of the clip is she's saying that I don't have kids, so I don't know anything about kids. And that's actually what I have jokes about. So then after I do those bits, I say to her, I go, are you a sports fan? It was only because I was there for spring training. That's why I thought of it. And she goes, yeah. And I was like, you know, who's your team? She goes, I'm a Redskins fan, do or die. So then I say, well, when they screw up, do you get upset? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, have you ever played professional football? Then what the fuck do you know about football? And so that's like the capper of the clip. And it just, for some reason, that one, it was like I uploaded it overnight.
So you film? Do you film, record all your sets, or just that? Oh, you do it.
I used to like have a camera in the back of the room. Now I've got 3 4K cameras with a fucking mic on it. You know, I mean, because now
what
like
made you? You're in Titusville. What made you like? I'm going to record this set, or I
recorded everything.
Yeah. Okay,
like that was one. Like my YouTube at the time had 95,000 subscribers. It now has 300,000.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, that week it got 40,000 new ones.
Wow.
I mean that was insane. And so it was, but overnight. So we get back to we're staying in Orlando, which is like an hour and a half from Titusville. We get back, we're staying in like adjoining rooms. And so I upload, like I edit it, I go to upload it. The hotel internet is such shit. It's not uploading. It's like going to upload overnight. And so I leave it on and I say to Danny and Matt, and I go, I think this clip is good. I think it's going to get like 10,000 views. And then we woke up to go to the game the next morning at like 7 a.m. and it had 50,000 views.
Wow.
Someone had posted it to Reddit and it just exploded. And so and throughout the day, I mean, it's just, it was kind of cool to have my friends there for this moment, because throughout the day, you know, I'm just getting these like text messages like, hey, you know, I saw this on the front of World Star, you know, and like, hey, I saw this on Lad Bible, and I saw this, hey, now it's trending. My name was trending #1 on Facebook. It was the craziest week of my life. Damn. And meanwhile, it's not like things had translated yet. So meanwhile, I'm literally the top trending topic on Facebook. This is 2016. So this is before the election. I'm ahead of the new season of Game of Thrones. I'm ahead of every presidential candidate. It's basically like, it's like Steve Hofstetter, like Game of Thrones, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton.
If you were before Game of Thrones, then yeah, you the shit.
It was insane.
What?
And so...
Is your phone ringing off the hook?
Yeah, I'm getting messages from everyone I ever went to high school with. You know, it's nuts. And so then... But meanwhile, I'm still like a piece of shit, like playing these awful venues, like just to get $100 in order to pay for this trip.
Right.
Like I'm not famous. It's just a thing that's happening. Yeah. And so while that's happening, like at the same time, we're playing this venue, Bombshells in Orlando. And we had like a deal with them where with at least 40 people, you know, we would get like $200.
Okay.
And so the bartender shows up 45 minutes late. The security guy shows up 45 minutes late. Like we're supposed to do doors at 7 for an 8 o'clock show. They get there at 7:45. People have come and left at this point. And we end up with 37 people, which is also at this time, I'm only playing 37 people. That's where I was in my career. And they don't pay us. They stiff us.
Oh, wow.
Because they say, oh, well, you didn't meet the minimum. And it's like, but we did.
Yeah.
It's just your staff wasn't here. And so people left.
Yeah.
This is your fault. And meanwhile, I'm like, literally, I'm looking down at my phone and I'm the #1 trending topic on Facebook. And this motherfucker won't give me $200 for drawing people on like a Sunday night. And yeah, but that's where I was.
People have no idea.
They have no idea what we go through.
That's absolutely nuts.
Also, by the way, fuck Bombshells. They're a terrible venue, and please, I hope they're closed by now.
Fuck Bombshells. Yeah,
Yeah.
you heard
He's sitting there.
Yeah.
He's sitting there arguing with a fucking guy over $200.
Yeah.
Wow.
Has the game changed since you started?
Comedy game?
Yeah, comedy game has
Absolutely. It changes every year.
Yeah.
You know, it changes constantly.
For the good or for the bad, you think?
Both. I think that one way that it's changed is comedy is now accessible to a lot more people because of podcasts, because of things like this. And so someone, you know, when I was a kid, I loved stand-up, but like I didn't necessarily know you could be a stand-up. Whereas like anyone now who has ever listened to a podcast knows not just you can be a stand-up, but here's exactly how. And so what you're getting for the first time, and it started, you know, when the podcast boom, I don't know, 7 years ago. Right. You're getting very attractive people becoming comedians. Because it used to be, no offense to any of us, but it used to be
just the funny
like
looking ones.
if you were extremely attractive, you didn't need to be a comic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like now there are people who, you know, they're extremely attractive, but they also don't fit in for other reasons. Because comedy, sense of humor happens when you don't fit in. It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, most comedians it used to be really skinny or really overweight.
Really funny looking. I mean, that's why we
We all had little, you know, every now and then there was like a handsome person, but for the most, you get a Jeff Dye every so often, you know, but most of the time it was like people, you know, but now there are people who just regular, well-adjusted, good-looking people who just see it as a career path. And that's awesome. You're also getting good and bad in terms of the internet being democratic because you get stuff like, you know, a video can go viral, like in my case where I was a stand-up for 14 years before that went viral. And so now I can fill venues and now I can sell tickets and that's great. But you also get the people who are like, have never done stand-up.
Yeah.
And then they have a video of them, you know, talking in their closet go viral.
Yeah.
And then they're filling comedy clubs and everybody who goes, ugh, I'm never going to that place again.
Yeah.
But I actually don't really begrudge those people because they will fail quickly. Yeah. And it'll be fine. The ones with talent will succeed and the ones without won't.
And that's what, it's going to weed out.
But I think that stand-up it's more democratic than ever. But I think here's the biggest difference. Comedy clubs no longer matter. Comedy clubs used to matter a whole lot because you couldn't reach your fans directly. And so you needed that club to be the conduit until you were enormous and putting your name on a poster would, you know, sell 2,000 tickets. You needed that club to get to the comedy fans. Now you don't. But also there are now mid-sized venues. It used to basically be that like it was comedy clubs sat up to about 300 people. Right. And then to play a theater, you needed to draw 1,200. Now there are all these Live Nation venues that have like 400, 600, you know, et cetera. And so once you get a little bit too big for the comedy clubs, you can leave. Yeah. And there's nothing holding you there anymore. And so because of that, comedy clubs are dying. Yeah. And part of it, you know, they sowed their own fortune by treating comics like shit for a very long time. Yeah. But what a lot of big comics don't realize is that they pay the profit that clubs make off of them is what pays for the smaller comics. Right. Clubs do not make money on someone who doesn't draw.
Exactly.
Why do they give that person a week? Because they're developing talent and they can't afford to have a celebrity every week. But if the celebrity charges more than they're worth, or even charges exactly what they're worth, then the club doesn't have enough money to pay the other people. And that's why so many clubs are closing.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to get more, because we're going to talk about the comedy game, because you know, I follow you on Facebook, and I know a lot of times you give out a lot of advice about stuff. So we're going to get all into it.
Yeah, a lot of benefits.
But we're going to go, definitely. We're going to get into this new segment we got, man. We kind of do little funny, little different little type of
I'll decide if it's funny. No,
we call this, Steve, the Tobe Hixx Dope True Story. It's basically our ripoff of like Hollywood. I don't know if you know about Tobe. Tobe has some incredible, true fucking stories. Like this guy has lived like
Yeah.
7 lives, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So so Tobe, he's gonna tell us a story of you and John Witherspoon and a little squabble y'all had or something. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Tobe Hixx dope true story.
Wow, this was one of the worst weekends of my comedy career. I'll never forget this. The Improv called me and they had a last minute cancellation. They asked me if I wanted to feature for John Witherspoon out at the Ontario Improv.
And those who don't know, you're John Witherspoon, Friday, Pops from Friday, you know, the legend.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, so, you know, at that stage of my career, obviously I was excited. I was like, yes, I want to do it. And the first thing I should have known it was going to be a fucked up weekend is that the reason why the person canceled probably is because it was Christmas week. It was the last weekend before Christmas. So the traffic was just unbelievable. There was nowhere to park. They was even parking in the Improv spot. So it was just horrible just getting there to the gig. So then we're going through the weekend. Thursday, everything's fine.
One show Thursday.
Yeah, one show. 2 shows Friday, everything's fine. Come Saturday now, we get ready, we doing the show, and I go up, everything's normal, you know, I do my thing. I have a good set.
I'm listening, by the way. I'm just going to live stream this also.
Okay. And I have a good set. I go up and do my thing. I have a good set. And
This Saturday, first show or second?
This Saturday, the first show.
First show, okay.
Yeah, so I finish my set. I go back to the green room.
Now, how's Mr. Witherspoon treating you? So everything's good?
Everything had been cool.
Thursday was cool.
Yeah,
Friday was good.
Everything had been cool. It had
Friday
been
had to be good. It's John Witherspoon.
Yeah.
I wish I had the bell here, man.
You know, and not, you know, there was no problems. Even I had did some slick shit too, because he had started. I knew it was some punk shit about to go down, but because one thing he was like, he didn't want me to sell nothing.
Right. Okay.
To sell no merchandise,
I hate
whatever.
that.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
So-
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Hey, but look, but I was smarter than that. So what I did was, he was inside taking pictures,
right,
with his Polaroid camera. The shit he do, and he sell those or whatever. So he's up on stage taking pictures. And so while he's up on stage taking pictures, he would sell Polaroid pictures where you go, you take the picture, and you roll out, and the person can leave with the picture.
Yeah, some more does that too.
So while he's up there taking pictures, man, I'm out front slanging my shit like it's dope. I'm like, man, this old man ain't gonna tell me not to make no money.
Okay,
I sold all my shit. I sold it every night. He never knew, never found out. But so Saturday comes the show, first show. I go up, I do my thing. I come back to the green room, and he goes, "Hey, man, you did too much time."
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I did too much time. Well, I was supposed to do 15 minutes, I believe. But I did the exact same set I've been doing all week.
Yeah.
I didn't change up nothing. So I'm like, I did too much time.
Were they laughing more? That takes more time.
Yeah, they were laughing more. But I mean, they were laughing like the same as they were every night, basically.
Yeah.
But
so basically, you feel you did 15. You stayed with.
I did exactly what I was supposed. I mean, I did. You know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, damn. So he's like, you did too much time.
Yeah.
So he says it twice. So then, you know, being a younger comic in the game and working with him and excited to be there and feeling funny, I start feeling bad. Like, damn, maybe I did do too much time. You know, I'm like shit. So then he's like, this is what got me, and I'll never forget this shit as long as I live. So after the second you did too much time, he said, and I said, well, Mr. Witherspoon, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't realize I did too much time. And he said, nigga, you know you did too much time. That was the moment I got up, I walked out the green room because I didn't want to disrespect him. You know, we grew up like, you don't say nothing to your elders, whatever. And now he done said this shit to me. I was about ready to cuss him out or whatever. So I got up and I walked out. And I don't know what made me do this, but something told me to go up to the sound guy. And I went up to the sound guy and I said, hey, man, did I do too much time? He said, no, Tobe, you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew he was hating on the fact that I had a good set.
That's all it was.
And I was like, this old punk motherfucker's like, come on, we're not going up for the same shit. I mean, look, like, what? They're here to see you. They're not here to see me. They're here to see Mr. Bang Bang Friday. I mean,
well,
the motherfucker was on WKRP in Cincinnati episode. Good times, nigga. I mean, we're not going for the same shit.
It's a little awkward because his son is a stand-up who I like. Like JD is a good dude.
I forgot he's
JD is a good dude. So, but I will say, first of all, any opener who doesn't ask permission to sell merch is being a dick.
Yeah.
Any headliner that says no is also being a dick. Because it isn't your show. When you're opening, it isn't your show. But at the same time, like, you are not being, when you're an opener, you're not being paid well.
Yeah.
And so if you can make an extra $100 selling a couple t-shirts,
that shit means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And
they know this.
Yeah, because they've been there.
He's been in that position.
There.
Also, what some of these guys should realize is when the opener sells, it helps the headliner sell more because it keeps more people in that area. Once someone's opening their wallet, they're willing to, And so what I do when I tour with my guys is like we actually have it set up specifically so that I'm the last one and they're before me. Like we set up the merch table so that if people are waiting in line to talk to me, they're there first.
Right, so they can go.
And so it makes the line less boring because the people who are like near the front of the line can talk to them, but also like it helps them sell stuff.
Right.
And what some comics, and look, I can't speak to, John's motivation or any of that, but I could say that like I find it dumb when a comic doesn't want an opener to kill before them.
I don't understand that either. Why would you want someone not to do well?
Yeah, but it are some comics.
I don't understand that.
There are some headliners we know they don't really want you. They want you to do okay.
No, there are headliners that straight up want you to not do well.
No, they want you to
which
fail.
Is crazy to me.
Yes, there's people, I've encountered those people who want you to fail.
Yeah, you see at clubs when you're just like, wait, this open micer is opening for this famous person? And it's because they want them to fail so that they look so much better in comparison.
And that makes no sense. Because why not keep the quality of the show up so people leave out enjoying the whole show?
Well, and not just the whole show, but what they don't realize is that like your job is easier when the comic before you does better.
Yes, it's a lot harder.
I've had situations where like, so I tour, this current tour, I'm touring with Rob Ryan and Brett Druck. And I had a situation, I think it was in Buffalo, where Brett ripped the fucking roof off of that room. And I was like, well, all right, this is just going to be a set then. Like, there's no way. My first 15 minutes are just going to be spent reminding them that I'm not him. Like, he did that well. Now, I don't want that every night.
Yeah.
But I was so happy for him, and I was so proud of him, and I didn't begrudge him it at all.
Yeah.
And, like, you want someone to do well. So, because here's the thing that happened to me that night. I didn't have as good of a set as I would have if he had just done very well instead of amazingly. But I had to work harder.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you don't work hard, you don't get better. Simple as that.
But I mean,
shout out to all the people who are on my Facebook
that makes
Live.
sense. But at least like that makes more sense. But at least you guys kind of in the same. Like, I mean, this man is a legend. This man is, years older than me. I mean, it's like there's never going to be any situation where someone goes, man, I was going to hire John Witherspoon, but I think I'll take Tobe here.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's never going to be a situation like that.
Tobe, come on. I've seen your act, and I agree.
I mean, like, why the hell would he act like that?
It's just,
I don't know. And
insecure.
But then what really got me is that my daughter's mother, she does hair. She had done his wife's hair a few times, mentioned me to him. So it's just like that energy came out of nowhere. That shit was fucked up.
Also, if it's one thing like that, you don't know what else was going on in his day. Like that could be a thing where like. Because if all he did was say,
when he called me the N-word, that's what did it. When he said, "Nigga, you did too much time," that shit went through my body as if somebody white down south said it.
And I understand that, but also like I know guys who say that to each other who don't mean it that way.
Yeah, but no, he said not a.
He put
the ER.
He put the ER on it from a black man to another black man with the ER. That's woo.
Tobe, I'm not gonna debate the N-word with you. I already lose. But that said, I had a situation at a club, and I'm not gonna say who it is. Because I just don't like to talk shit about comedians. But there was a guy who I was opening for at one of the local improvs here. I think the Brea Improv maybe. And I was emceeing the whole weekend. And like I treated him super well. I was very nice, very courteous, kind of, stayed out of his way. On the early show Saturday, I got him a standing ovation. What I mean by that is I was hosting, he finished, he did very, very well. But I went up just, you know, kind of raising up my arms like that. Like, everybody get up, everybody get up. He got a standing O because of something I did as a host, because I was doing my job in the right way.
Exactly.
In between shows, I was sitting in the green room waiting for my food, and he didn't even kick me out of the green room. He had the staff kick me out of the green room because and like, there's one thing for like, okay, you want your privacy, whatever, but like, no, he's in there with his boy, and like, I get a comic who's not on the show, that's fine, but we've been working together for 3 days, man. Like, I'm not allowed to be in the green room that is also for the comics.
Yeah.
And that's one that always stuck with me, because it wasn't even just that he was like, hey, man, I want my space or whatever. It's
give
like,
me a moment. Let me, you know.
He didn't even have the guts to say it to me.
Yeah, that's
you got the staff to come over to me.
That's some bitch ass shit.
Yeah, that's
I just hate
I've heard of that
bitch-ass
happening
comics.
too before. I've heard of that, you know, I think I recall somebody acting funny style with
One
me
comic,
like that.
one comic we don't fuck with on this is Ari Spears, and we don't fuck with Ari Spears because Ari Spears doesn't let any black comics open up for him.
Oh, God, that's who it was.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Oh well, you can talk. We've talked about you. Fuck Ari Spears.
I wouldn't bring the name up.
Yeah,
but the fact that
that's
it was
crazy. I had no idea.
the comedy in the fact that was the next name you mentioned. I couldn't not say that in the story.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, that's
Like, I would never bring it up.
And that doesn't surprise me. He's a bitch ass. He's an asshole.
And people. I mean,
and that's why his
timing of
career.
that
And he doesn't understand how bad that makes. I mean, because the people that tell are the people that work at the club.
Yeah, and
they the ones who talk about him not wanting that and doing that shit.
And that's why his career is where it's at now. And I mean, he's a talented guy, but he's just a fucking asshole. And I say it to his face, like, fuck you, Ari Spears.
Damn, he didn't want you in the green room either.
Yeah,
Wow.
Like oh my God. So
my favorite like story of someone big timing actually came from an MC. So one of these guys that like you get to the club and it's like, yeah, I'm MCing this weekend, but normally I'm a headliner. Yeah, that's why you're taking $25 and sleeping on the floor of a comedy condo because you're normally a headliner. So this guy spends the whole weekend that we're there. This is in Milwaukee, and he spends the whole weekend that we're there. He's not just watching like really shitty bootleg movies, but he's like mad that me and the feature don't want to watch them with him. He's like watching. I'm talking about like shaky camera, like really garbagey. And this is a decade ago. And so, and he's just, I mean, it's a 2-bedroom comedy condo.
right.
And he is in our space and we're not complaining. And he's up till 4 a.m. watching these garbage movies. Can't figure out why we don't want to watch a shitty version of a shitty movie with him.
Damn.
And so, but we're, the whole weekend it's fine. All right. So then he's just bombing every show.
Oh my goodness.
And
He's the host.
He's the host.
Oh my God.
He's bombing every show. And then, I mean, this is a club that is in the basement of a strip club. And it only exists because like they have the extra space and they're trying to use every part of the Buffalo, So it's kind of a miserable weekend. There's one show, I think it's maybe the Friday late show, which it's like 20 people. And I say to him, hey, let's keep it tight tonight. Let's all just go home. This is miserable. So not only does he go over his time hosting, but in between, he does 15 minutes of garbage crowd work.
Oh my
like the kind of crowd work where you're like, look at that stupid shirt. Like that kind of crowd work.
What the hell?
So I light him. Not like rudely. I just, hold up a candle in the back of the room, like, hey man,
You're better than me. I would have threw a shoe at him.
Yeah, I'm like, don't forget, come on. So I light him, and so at the end of the week, I go over to say goodbye to everybody, and I go over to him to, give him a handshake, and he goes, no man, we're done. And I was like, what? What? And he goes, yeah, we're done. Walk away. And I was like, no. I'm not letting you get away with this. You tell me what have I done to you to make you not want to shake another adult's hand?
Yeah.
What have I done that is so egregious? And he goes, you lit me. And I was like, well, it's my show.
Yeah.
So I can. But also, you have every right to light me also. If I'm going over my time and I'm making the show worse, the show that we are both on, you have every right to light me. And I have every right to light you.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, that's up to the manager. I go, well, the manager was standing next to me when I lit you. But aside from that, it's my show.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you were doing 15 minutes in a time where you're supposed to do 30 seconds. And then he goes, oh, I have an audition for whatever club. I'm not going to say what club coming up. I was working on stuff for that. I go, you were doing crowd work. You were absolutely not working on your audition. And I was like, and I know the booker of that club, and I can call him and tell him that you're lying about it right now. I can call him right now in front of you and be like, hey, are you auditioning this guy? And he will tell me no. And like the guy just kept insisting.
Wow.
Oh my
And
God.
so I was like, all right, fine. We are done. Goodbye. So I think maybe 4 or 5 years later.
Damn.
No, there's so much to this story. So 4 or 5 years later, and by the way, like if this happened to me, like if I got lit by a headliner I was working for, I'd have been mortified.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Even
yeah.
if it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have been mortified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Such and Such. Is everything
Whoever
okay?
it is, yeah.
You respect the person. So then it's 4 or 5 years later. My buddy has a show in Chicago. He needs an opener. I was touring with him, but I was working on a tape. So I go do a guest set at Zany's, and I was like, go do your show, you know? So he had booked this guy to open for him. And I told him the story. I go, man, this is...
wow.
And he's like, I already booked the guy. It's too late. So the guy, like right before the show, or I think the morning of the show, he's like, oh man, you know, my flight got stuck. I can't make it, blah, blah, blah. So my buddy is like, fine, I'll just do the damn show myself. So then an hour into the show, another comic shows up who was booked by the opener to replace him. Hold on a second, it gets way worse. And my buddy goes, like, because it's like as the show is ending.
What?
And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, I guess he told me the wrong time. And he's like, he has no right to book you. It's my show. And then goes, when did you find out about this gig? And he goes, 3 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 3 days earlier, he had booked him. So
he knew he wasn't
Wow.
he knew he
man.
wasn't
coming. Comics
coming.
ain't shit. Some comics are just so unprofessional.
But that's just,
One more part to the story. So maybe a year after that was when Laughs started.
Oh man. Okay.
So you're damn right. He submitted to me.
Laughs is a show that Steve created and
I wasn't the creator, but I was the executive producer of the first season.
Just let our audience know.
So he
yeah.
didn't even know.
Laughs on
He didn't
Fox.
know who he was submitting to. Correct.
He did, but he didn't think he had done anything wrong. He was one of these guys, I think, that was just like, oh, that was a long time ago.
Oh,
And it's
my
like, no, it wasn't. You're an ass, and you're still an ass. And so he submitted to me to be on Laughs, and I was like, I just wrote back, and I go, I don't think you remember how we last spoke.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, no, man, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I don't think you remember. And then he took the email address that I replied to the email with and put it on his mailing list. So he is the example.
So now you get, oh my God.
I will not give him any time. I will not give him. I won't say his name, not because I don't want to offend him. I won't say his name because I don't want anyone to know.
Oh my God!
anything
you can't
about
be
him.
that much of
Yeah.
a creep. You cannot be that much of a creep.
That is, I know it's a long story, but that is the
that's
example
great.
of like the worst. Like my friend
shit.
Dennis Donahue said it really well. He's like, the difference between comedians and drug addicts are the drug addicts at least know where to get their drugs. Like comedians are just as addicted to stage time, and some of them have no fucking idea how to get it.
Oh my God!
Damn.
Only time I sometimes open
And
up.
he
a
let
Michael-
years pass.
Yeah.
He hadn't learned shit in years.
Open up. I sometimes open.
But he usually headlines.
Yeah. One time I open up from I do sometimes open up for Michael Blackson. That's when we came up together in Philly. One time I emceed a show and he had a female feature. She was funny. But you know, Mike is one of them guys, if you come into the club, you're like, Mike, let me get 5 minutes. You know, Mike doesn't say no to nobody.
Yeah.
Let me get 5 minutes. So every show it would be, Mike, let me get. So her time was cut down because Mike would always.
Let somebody come.
Yeah, let somebody. So the next day, somebody hit me up. I didn't really know her like that. I didn't follow her, but I guess we had mutual friends. Somebody hit me up, was like, yo, what happened over the weekend with Mike? Something happened with the feet. He said her name. I was like, what you talking about? He said, man, she put her stuff on Facebook, like, you know, to the effect of, yeah, you know, cats be coming in and taking my time and like all this, like, you know.
Damn.
And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, go. I went to her page. I'm like, and then some of it was like towards me, but I first thing I'm like, that's Mike. Mike is the headliner.
That's his
He can
show.
put whoever he want to put up on the show.
Yeah.
Like if she got a problem, take it to Mike. He's the one who told him to get up there. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like go somewhere with that.
They didn't come to
nonsense.
just take her time.
Yeah, like she was mad, but you should be mad at Mike. Who,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and really, it wasn't okay. You was doing 15, your time got cut down to 10. Come on, like, it's really that big of a deal?
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna get into the dope of the week. We do something called the dope of the week, Steve. So
Yeah.
let me read this story.
I'm
The
gonna
dope,
eat more Reese's Pieces while you do
the
it.
dope of the week. First thing, her name is Crescendo Williams.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
The story came to a crescendo.
man.
Crescendo Williams. After hanging up mid-sentence.
Wait. Before you get into it,
yes.
please, let's discuss the name. That means her parents wanted to name her Crescendo and thought that was a male name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they made it Crescendo because like Crescendo was
Yeah.
the male version of the name.
Oh my God.
Sorry for interrupting.
No,
but
no,
that's
this is all
just-
good, man.
Yeah.
She is a 911 call operator who was arrested. She was fired and arrested for hanging up on callers.
Yeah.
Did you hear about her?
Yeah.
After hanging up mid-sentence on a call, a Houston 911 call center operator was heard on a recording saying, "Ain't nobody got time for that." For real, according to charging documents.
So she was quoting a meme.
Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for this. For real. The call center.
What was the call though?
The call center operator identified as Crescendo Williams was arrested and charged after allegedly hanging up on what could be thousands of emergency callers, according to the documents. The 43-year-old has been placed under police investigation after her supervisors noticed that she had an abnormally large numbers of calls that lasted less than 20 seconds. So she was just hanging up on motherfuckers.
Somebody
left
could
and
be
right.
dying, anything. She just gonna hang up on.
A review,
and look, there are probably a lot of garbage calls to 911.
yeah, but I think that's your job is to
Yeah.
sort it out.
Yeah.
Let me. A review of the Houston Emergency Center database found that thousands of short calls have been attributed to the defendant from October 2015 to March 2016. When interviewed by Houston police in June, Williams allegedly told officers she often hung up on calls because she did not want to talk to anyone at that time.
Oh my God.
She was charged with interference with an emergency telephone call, which is a misdemeanor.
When you think about all the jobs that are in between you and safety,
Yeah.
That's the most
like,
important.
well, because there's 911 operator, right? There's like reception desk at a hospital. You know, there is like, you know, low-level police officer.
Of course.
There's like all of these jobs that really, when you think about it, you're like, I mean, there's bridge crane operator.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there is literally like the guy, I mean, there's, you know, the guy in construction who's building the bridge. There's all of this stuff where you're just like, God, I hope all of them are good at their jobs. Because if not, there's electrician. There's like all of these jobs.
I think Chris Rock later special said there's some jobs you can't have a bad apple. He was
Nah,
I don't
yeah,
know if
you
y'all seen
can't.
him.
Oh,
yeah.
He said, you know, you can't be on a plane, you know, well, most of our pilots like to land, but a couple of our bad apples like to run the plane into the mountain. Like, you can't, and
I
this is
forgot
one of
about
them
Can't even
jobs.
have one.
This is one of them jobs. Like, you cannot, like she said,
Thousands, not just a couple.
because she did not want to talk to him. Well, bitch, you are the 911 operator. If you don't want to talk to him, find another fucking job.
Call in sick.
What the hell?
I always get nervous that there are like shitty schools that have engineering programs. Like the idea of like you're a C student engineer
Oh shit.
at like the 200th ranked program in the country, and you're still building a bridge. Like I think that people who like if you're, and no offense, like look,
They got to be from a top school.
if you're studying engineering at a bad engineering program, you should have to study in a building built by another engineer from that program. Put your money where your mouth is.
That's funny.
You know?
Man, I agree. I second that, man. Yeah, Chris. Oh my God. So hopefully, how much time y'all think she should get? I mean,
They got 6 months or something.
no, but somebody died.
They say it's a misdemeanor.
It's a
Oh,
misdemeanor, though.
no. After robbery call, Houston police specified 2 incidents alleging that in both cases, Williams intentionally hung up on emergency callers. On March 12th, a man identified as Hung Lee dialed 911 at 8:10 p.m. to report an armed robbery. Lee had walked into the store that evening to buy lottery tickets. He heard someone yelling that there was a robbery and saw a man with a gun. Lee counted 5 to 6 gunshots, then got into his car and drove away as he tried to call for help. Williams immediately hung up on Lee's first call, according to the charges documents. A minute later,
Yeah,
Lee,
she didn't want to talk to an Asian dude.
Lee called again, and Williams answered, "Houston 911, do you need medical, police, or fire? This is a robbery," Lee responded. Williams signed before hanging up on him again. I mean, this is funny, but it ain't funny.
Damn,
he later told an investigator that he was frustrated but kept calling 911. On his third try, Lee connected to another operator and was able to report the crime. When officers arrived on the scene, the store manager had been shot and killed.
That's accessory to murder.
Yeah,
I mean, that is negligent. That's negligent accessory to homicide.
That's not. Yeah, you got to get more time for that. I didn't know somebody died. Yeah, that's absolutely nuts.
And how something's wrong with her because she has to know that these calls are being logged in.
Yeah,
and
she knows
recorded.
this.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows that they could track anything she's doing. How can she be that crazy?
You can't be that. So, Crescenda Williams, you are the dope of the week. I hope whatever they have in store for you. Listen, I hope when you're in prison and you call your family, I hope they hang up on you. When you call them,
put a block on their phone.
I hope they hang up on your dumb ass. And of course, Crescenda, we don't really have to say her race, do we? We know what the fuck she is. So making our
I don't know what you're talking about.
Making our people look bad.
I don't see color. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. There's not too many white Asian girls named Crescenda, I can tell you that. So Crescenda, yeah. So
that's crazy.
You are the dope of the week, man. So Steve,
Houston, she could have just worked at the strip club if she wanted to act like that.
Just hanging
all them strip clubs, she not to be a 911 operator.
I don't know if you saw her picture, but she could not have worked at the strip club.
She can answer the phones at the strip club.
Even then.
All right, so listen, we got something called the Dope 7 we do, Steve.
Okay.
We ask you 7 dopey questions, man. Just give us whatever you think about it, man.
Okay.
Favorite city to perform in?
Oh, Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay.
That's where all the money at.
Right,
Shit.
there you go.
Yeah, they buy a lot of merch.
Hey, I like that.
That's where the money at.
Well, it's all educated populace, too.
Yeah. If you were not a comedian, what would you be doing?
Probably a salesman of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. What would I be doing? Crying myself to sleep.
Are you a hip hop fan? I don't know.
I am. Yeah.
Favorite Wu-Tang Clan member?
Favorite Wu-Tang Clan member? I think ODB, just because he picked up his welfare check in a limo.
Yeah,
and you cannot
on
beat
MTV.
Yeah, I remember.
Took MTV cameras with him on his album release to go pick up his welfare
It's
check.
one of the worst things any human has ever done, and I love it.
Yeah, that's Eazy-E going to the White House. ODB,
Yeah.
Rest in peace,
rest in
ODB.
peace.
Wow, I do remember that shit.
All right, favorite sexual position?
Consensual.
Hey, there you go. Bing,
That's not my joke, but still, it's favorite sexual position. I think it depends on the person.
Oh, there you okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool, we take that.
Big ass, you want to get behind it. Big titties, you might want to be in front. Yeah, I see all that shit.
All right, one thing you can't live without. One thing you can't live without.
My computer.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of porn on my computer. I don't know.
Oh, I know.
We're in a hotel room.
You started typing in a letter into your browser, and all of it came up.
You seen that?
Oh, I saw that. Of course I saw that. That's a bold move when you have that much porn on your computer.
Listen, I got a lot of bookmarks. I like my certain scenes.
You type P and it's just like Pornhub immediately, and you type O and it's like still Pornhub.
Look, and then this is our 18th episode. We've had 2 episodes that revolve around porn, and we booked both of those.
One of them was our friend.
Yeah, Ace, my homie. But
now you know it's funny. Years ago, I was working with a manager at the time, and somewhere we was doing some paperwork like on his laptop, and I always had a feeling that he may have had a little sugar in his tank, as the old folks would say. So he had me doing something on his laptop, and I tell you, it's funny that because I typed up G and like it was some kind of website like gay dating came up, And I just went to something else, but he was in another room. But I was like, oh, okay, hey, man,
when I was in college, it was like when websites were first being like a thing, and we thought it would be funny to like make our friend like his own homepage, as if like we got his password for his school account, and so we're gonna make him a webpage of like, these are all the things that I like, and just like really dumb thing. It was a very stupid thing to do. But as a joke, I go like on website, we're listing like, these are my favorite websites, and as a joke, just out of nowhere, I just say, like I'm typing it in and I just put in assbandit.com. I made it up. I just made it up. I completely made it up. Yeah. And the friend whose computer we were on visited link.
Oh, shit.
Came up in purple, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" And he's like, "Oh, it just happens that way." I'm like, "I know tech. Stop it." I know.
That's hilarious.
All right, we got two more. When I'm gonna ask you, your go-to song when you have sex.
I don't have a go-to song when I have sex, but I think go-to artist is just my go-to artist, both for sex and a road trip. Tom Petty.
Oh, okay.
Works equally well for both.
Okay. All right, so you know what? We're on the porn thing, so let's stay on the porn
questions
thing.
Are these?
I know.
Yeah.
Last one.
Yeah.
We're on the porn. Well, okay, I won't give you.
You can do whatever you want to ask me.
Okay, you can. I'll give you two, and you can answer which one. Who should be the next James Bond, or what would be your porn name if you were a porno star? What would be your porn name?
Well, the porn name one I know because you're supposed to use the street you grew up on and the name of your first pet.
Oh, I didn't know
Like
that.
that's like the joke of like, oh,
The
that's your
porn
porn
world.
name.
Oh,
Mine is the dorkiest thing ever. Mine would be Smedley Irvin. That's my porn name, Smedley
Damn.
Irvin. Yeah.
so you said the street that you grew up on,
Yeah.
and the name of your first pet.
And the name of your first pet.
Okay, so I grew up on
Smedley.
Broad Street, and the name of my first dog was King. So my porn
Broad
name would
King.
be Broad King.
Perfect. See, it
That would
works
be
for
my
most
porn
people.
name.
What's yours?
Toby.
Oh man, I had Bristol Street, so Bristol. I never had a pet.
Never
Never
had a pet. Oh shit.
No.
So
I
you'd
didn't-
just be Bristol.
Yeah, I just be Bristol. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Omaha,
works.
Bristol.
I look like a slim porn star's name, Bristol.
Yeah, that works.
So that was the Dope 7, man. That was cool, man. So what you got coming up, man? And what you got coming up?
My big thing is my book is out.
Okay.
So Ginger Kid, it's top 5 pick on Amazon, #1 in its category. So everybody,
Congratulations
please
on
go
that,
buy
man.
that.
We didn't,
Thank you.
I didn't know. I wish we could have
That's
talked
okay.
about it. Yeah.
That's okay. We'll just plug it here.
Is this autobiography or what?
Yeah, but it's autobiography of when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so it's like the premise of it, is kind of like getting bullied a lot and finding comedy as a way out.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
yeah, it goes through a lot of very embarrassing things. Someone messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, what's your book about?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a true story of going through high school." And they were like, "Oh, I'm thinking of getting it for like my young cousin. I don't know if it's appropriate. Are there any sexual situations in it?" And I go, "No, it's the true story of when I was in high
when
school."
having no
So,
sex. Shit.
no. And then I have a world tour that's
Oh,
going on right
yeah,
now. I'm about to hit
congrats.
a bunch of Mid-Atlantic dates. All from DC down to South Carolina, and then I'm going to Europe for a month.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Edinburgh Fringe Festival, thank you, and doing 2 weeks of previews beforehand, everywhere from Paris to Stockholm to all over Western Europe.
You come through Philly? You ever come through Philly?
Yeah. I played Helium,
You did Helium,
in
okay.
May.
Oh, cool.
So
cool,
I'll
cool.
probably be back sometime next year.
It's a great club. I love Helium.
Yeah. Oh, such a fun night.
Yeah,
that
I
was
love
one of my favorite shows of the tour. It was so great.
I love
Wow.
Helium, man. So 16 years, you say, man?
16 years.
Is it everything you thought it would be? Or are you happy? Or is it where you you thought it would be right now?
It's not everything I thought it would be because there's no way of knowing what it would be.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely happy. The fact is, the only time I ever set an alarm clock is for a flight.
Yeah.
The joke I do at shows sometimes is I talk about not having a day job, and and I say, yeah, technically you guys are my boss, but if you don't like me, fuck you. I got a boss tomorrow. So
That's true.
and that's a wonderful thing, and also getting to interact, like just throwing up this Facebook thing and seeing all these people comment. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to respond to all the comments, but I'm in the middle of something.
Dope Dealer Podcast. We'll drop on Thursday, everybody. Thursday morning, we'll hit the link. It'll be on his page. So definitely appreciate you guys.
Check out the Dope Dealer Podcast.
Yes.
Where can they find you at? And where you're?
So Steve Hofstetter, and on everything. So Google will correct you if you can't spell it. But
I don't know why I thought I was like Hot Stetler. I don't know why.
quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback. Yeah, that's
They're
what
Giants.
I get that a decent amount. I was 11, living in New York when he won the Super Bowl. So you're damn right he was my
Yeah.
cousin that year.
Yeah.
Then he sucked after that, and he was not my cousin anymore. But I get Hostetler all the time.
Are you a Giants fan,
I had one
or-
time. I am. I'm a
You
huge
Giants,
Giants fan. And I had one time where someone at a college, this guy made a really big deal. He wanted to be the one to introduce me. And I'm just like, fine, shut up, just do it. And so then he goes up and he makes this, oh, this guy's my friend. And it's like, I met you 30 seconds ago. Stop it.
shit.
And then he
Fucks up your name.
goes, is Jeff ready? And I go, hey man, my name's Steve. Like from the back of the room, I'm like, I'm Steve. And he goes, oh, sorry, man. I got a friend named Jeff Hofstetter. And I go, no. There's a quarterback named Jeff Hofstetter. I know why you did that. Stop lying. And can we just start the show? And so then we started the show. And I just started off just being like, wasn't that fun, guys? And just like went into it.
Damn, I know the audience was just sitting there like in shock. Like, damn.
They were just confused. They just didn't know. They thought, because every time something weird happens, people are like, is this part of the show? And it's like, no, something that's stupid is not.
They do think that.
Yeah, they're like, this bit isn't working. I'm like, it's not a bit. It's just a dummy.
Well, listen, we appreciate you. We had fun, man. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks so much.
We learned a lot, and you know, our doors are always open, man. You come back and see us, man.
That's just because the lock's broken.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. And we'll have M&Ms next time you come. I usually have the Reese's Pieces and M&Ms.
I was just so hungry. I would eat anything in front of me right now. I left 2 for you though. Here, I left.
No, you finished them all. You go finish them all.
All right,
man.
fine.
I'm gonna go home and give Crescenda Williams a call and see
if she hangs up on you.
Tobe, where you at this week, man?
Oh man, we here in LA this week, man.
Okay.
It's BET week.
Oh, that's right. It is BET.
Yeah, we here this week.
This Friday, listen, everybody, I am at the Hollywood Improv with Michael Blackson. I will be opening up for Michael Blackson, the African King of Comedy. We at the Hollywood Improv, 10:30. So 10:30 show, get tickets, and BET weekend. There's a bunch of stuff going on.
Next week, Orlando, June 28th to July 1st at the Orlando Improv with Felipe Esparza and the Bad Decisions Tour. 6 shows. And 4th of July, I'll be at the Wind River Casino in Redding, California on the 4th of July. Yes, the 4th of July.
Yeah, definitely, man. And shout out to the armed forces. We
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard.
And the new one, Space Force.
Yeah. Hey, so definitely the armed forces, you know, we do this for you guys, and man, we love you guys, man. Please, if you're listening to this, please rate us and review us. Rate us and review us and subscribe to us. We drop
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Shout out to our sponsors this week, Doman Sheep Movers, the #1 moving company in the San Fernando Valley, Doman Sheep Movers.
Yeah, if you need to move, we keep it smooth.
That's us, man. You know
Doman Sheep Movers.
You know how we do it. Little somber note. I lost my grandmother on Sunday, my father's mother, Mary Holloway, so rest in peace. Love to all my family, my father, all my aunts and uncles. Mary Holloway, my grandmother was 90 years old, so she lived a long and fruitful life, and she passed away Sunday morning and at the house, surrounded by family members, and so it's we're sad, but it's she lived a life, and her funeral is next week. So Grandma, I love you. Rest in peace. To the whole Holloway family, Albright family, love you guys, man, and I'll be home next week celebrating the life of our grandmother. So that's it, man. Dope Dealer Podcast, episode 18.
Episode 18.
We appreciate you guys, man. Love you guys,
thanks,
man.
Steve.
No doubt. Definitely thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
We see you next week.
Bye.